The views expressed on this program are those of the commenters alone. They do not represent the views or opinions of Valley News Live, our parent company, or our advertisers.
Welcome back. Here we're live in Bismarck at the state capitol with House Majority Leader Al Carlson. Al, thanks for joining me. You guys are just wrapping up the crossover session. Now, you put some amendments, obviously, in House Bill 1020, the State Water Commission bill, causing a lot of ruckus back in Fargo. Darrell Vanio said some kind words today, pun intended there, on News and Views. But Cass County Administrator Keith Burns said this: there's no doubt these amendments intended to kill the diversion project. You say?
And I say no. I say that we're looking for some more accountability. We're looking for these federal dollars that everybody say is coming. We're trying to decide what is the state's role and how much money we're going to put into the project. This is a long way from over. This is halftime, and it's amendments. They clarified, number one, there's $100 million in this budget for flood protection in the Fargo and in the Valley area. That goes with the $75 million we've already put in, and we're allowing them to use that money, or parts of that money, to defend the city to 42.5 feet. Something the city told us they wanted.
But Al, you're a business guy. If I started up a business and I came to you and I said, okay, Al, I've got this business, I want you to invest in it. You and I both know one of the first things you're going to say to me is, Chris, how much skin do you have in the game? It's the same thing right now in this situation. Don't you agree?
Yeah, the skin in the game is so far is nothing from the feds. And they need, I've always been a doubter of the fact that the federal money will show up. There's no secret to that. But does this say that we won't participate? No, it says we will participate. In fact, there's another bill I'm on that came out of the Senate that allows loans to be set up at the Bank of North Dakota to help fund needs quicker than they can probably get the revenue. So you got to look at the whole picture. This doesn't stop the diversion. If they want to have that talk because they think the state is not committing, we've put language in the bill to commit $325 million, and that'll change over time as we know what the final costs of the project are and when the time frame for the project is. Does it say we're not funding? It just said that you can't start spending money on that today. And if that language comes out in the Senate, I'm not going to die and fall on my sword for it. But the point is, it makes the point that what is the role of the federal government, what is the role of the local taxpayers, and what is the role of the state? I mean, we already have a sales tax. They're talking 50-year special assessments. There's a state contribution, local contribution, federal contribution. What is the whole mix on this thing? And we also have a second issue. We put money aside to start the Red River water supply. You know, we're one storm away from a flood, and we're one dry year away from a drought. And therefore, we have drinking water problems that have never been funded. And this sets some money aside for that. So this is pretty comprehensive, looking at both sides of it and trying to figure out, Chris, they're getting 20% of the money that we raised for water projects this biennium is going to Fargo.
I understand that, but as you know, many of the engineers say, hey, the only way to get this done for permanent flood protection in Fargo is the diversion project. And you know what I meant by skin in the game. They're going to say, because Commissioner Vanio said this today on News and Views, when I go out to D.C., the first question they're going to ask me is, okay, number one, where's your local funding? And aren't you handcuffing our congressional delegation by saying, hey, we're not going to do anything until we've got the federal funding greenlit?
Well, I think that that's a very crucial part, because quite honestly, I'm concerned that the local citizens and the state can afford the burden of a $2 billion project. I mean, I think that's a lot of money, and I think that we need federal participation. The federal government's flat broke. They're sequestering as we speak, a day or two from now. And that means they're going to cut money to our National Guard and to our Air Force bases and to a lot of our programs in North Dakota, to our airports and the TSA security. And at the same time, we're telling them, oh, we're expecting to get $600, $800, $900 million from the feds for the diversion. They got some serious problems, and the question is, just be truthful with the people and tell them what it's going to cost. And tell them what their participation level will be, and the state will stand there when this is all sorted out. And we've already committed 175, we're committing up to 325, and we'll probably go higher counting the water supply. So this I think it set it on the table, so we discuss what it really costs, where the money's coming from, and the state will participate. The only reason there's $175 million on the table today is because of people like myself and Senator Grinberg and former Senator Fisher who set that money up in the first place, or there would have been nothing set aside.
You were quoted as saying the leaders in Fargo need to start being honest with the taxpayers. What do you mean by that specifically?
Well, I just think they need to, I don't know if honest is the word, or is to have a full explanation of how they're going to fund it if the feds don't come through. I'm a taxpayer. I've been through floods since '69. I lost a pile of money in 97 flood when I watched the water pouring in the basements, windows of my houses that were built in timberline, and overland flooding took everything out with no flood insurance for contractors. So don't tell me I don't understand flooding.
But that's what I'm saying. Then why put the stipulation in for this diversion? If this is, engineers have stated this for years, Al, and they said, look, this is the best way to give us permanent flood protection here in this area. Are you saying that you know more than these engineers about flood projects?
Absolutely don't tell them I know more. I'm telling them the state's going to participate when we have the final plan put to place, and I do think that you need federal participation. You get federal participation, it's a whole different game.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. How would you grade the session at this point?
It's doing great. You know, people are running around with their hair on fire over this diversion thing. I'm pretty surprised. We have a $325 million commitment, and they think it's nothing. That's a lot. That's the most we put, other than Devil's Lake, that we've done over the last 15 years. That's really about the most money we put into anything.
And the 325, though, is determined if, hey, that's what we're going to put in once the federal funding is also secured, correct?
Oh, no, we've already got the 175 we're allowing them to use for building the city up to 42.5 feet.
All right, well, it's not...
They're worried about language that's probably going to change 5 times before we're done. In the end, we're not going to leave Fargo stand alone.
I also want to get your comments. Jessica Hake, obviously in the House with you, recently tweeted out today referring to you as a Nazi. Your comment on that?
Well, I don't understand Twitter very well. I understand it's a side tag, and if you tag that, then a certain name comes up, and I guess it was my name. She's going to address the full chamber tomorrow. I've talked to her. I think that's way below the standards we set in this chamber, and I think that she'll address the House and have an explanation and an apology.
Does she owe you a public apology?
Absolutely, and if she doesn't, then we'll deal with that afterwards.
Al, always great to have you on. Really appreciate your time. We'll have you on a bunch more here in the second half as we wrap things up here with the crossover. Stay close. As always, we appreciate your feedback. Please go to our website, 630pov.com. We'll get to that when we come back.